Hello, welcome back. Today we're talking about getting feedback from the sales team.
This is the Sales Ops Effect, where we strengthen our skills as strategic leaders to grow businesses with integrity.
Getting feedback directly from the sales team is really important and very, very useful, because if you simply only ever get feedback from the head of sales who isn't at their level, they have a lot more access to people internally and externally listen to them more, you will only hear one point of view, even if that head of sales does have a very good relationship to all of the salespeople. But speaking to them directly, there's no real replacement for that. And, I'm not even asking for you to have interviews with every single person. Sometimes that might be necessary, but it's not always efficient, because sometimes you hear when you're in a group setting that people just go, oh, we don't get regular feedback from the delivery team or the product team. So how are we supposed to know how to go forward with this thing? And then when you ask the sister departments, the delivery team or the product team, etc., hey, how come, how is communication going between you and the sales team? They then say, well, we keep talking to them or trying to get them into meetings and they just don't come. They're not listening to us. And it's like, well, how do you find out what the truth is? You ask them. You ask them directly, because in a group, people can pile on and just say, oh, yeah, what this person said, what that person said. And they can do that for a number of different reasons. And it's sometimes not even worth going into it, but it's just like, some people just like to divert attention. Some people really do mean it and they just would like more information and they don't know any other way to ask for that. And others just like to waste people's times. So when you create a survey, which is how I go about doing things when there are quite a few salespeople, or when you're just simply busy, because back in the day, I'd be busy and I'd still be taking the time to sit down and have an hour-long conversation with every single salesperson, every single one, with my set of questions, regardless if I thought that they were being honest and upfront with me. I still did it because I thought that was the best way to get something out of people. And you can get a lot of information like that, but it takes up a lot of your time. And you, sales ops, we don't have that much time. So you can create a survey. You can create it with multiple choices in it. You can create it with free text boxes. And I prefer to keep it free text so that people say what they really mean, right? And you send that out. I don't use fancy software. I just use Microsoft Forms. I imagine Google has Forms as well. And what's really interesting when you do that, particularly if you give people like 2 or 3 weeks to complete it and you remind them a few times, is that when you create those questions based off of the verbal general feedback that you've been getting, we don't hear enough from product, for example, and you ask specific questions in there and you send it to the salespeople, what's really interesting is who replies. Who replies and who doesn't reply? And the people who do reply, what are they specifically saying? Because the people who do reply, you can tell if somebody's just really annoyed with something, in which case, if there's something there, then that's when you can give them a call and say, hey, let's just talk about this a little bit further and see if there's an underlying issue that is leading to the frustration or the tension that's in the room. But a lot of the people with the loudest voices are not going to be replying to the survey because they don't want to put their firm thoughts on paper. Why? Because they don't have firm thoughts. If you're in a kind of company where they don't trust you or to put their thoughts on paper in general, then that's a bigger issue. But a lot of times, the people with the loudest voices verbally in a big old team meeting that say, la, 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 when you ask them specifically, one-on-one, really clearly, please tell me what's wrong, written, they don't have anything to say because they don't want to be held to it. Even if you got that same rah, rah, rah person on the phone one-on-one, they just rah, rah, rah again because they want the attention. Some people like to moan, and that's just it. But when you ask them to put it clearly in words, they don't want to do that because they know that the tension that they are saying that they have, it doesn't really have a source, or the source is just them and them alone. And there's some people who like the attention and don't even truly understand that they're the person that's causing all of the fires. Some people do know, but some people don't actually know until you ask them specifically, okay, can you be very clear with me and tell me the specific reason why this happened, and they don't have an answer for you. I know so much of this, it feels like you're having to be people's therapist or having to psychoanalyze people, but in some way, shape, or form, you'll learn this as a throughout your career, and just working with people, that some people just like to watch the world. Then it's just, and some people do just waste your time, and you want to get very clear very quickly who you want to be paying attention to and who not. So creating a survey, using Microsoft Forms, having your questions really clear. And if you don't know where to start, or you don't want to just send one wide survey because you know they're not going to fill it in. Also, you don't want the survey to be too long. You want to be talking about 2-3 minutes max to complete. Start with your quarterly meetings. Start with asking the sales team, what do you want to hear about in Q2? And you can get more specific and say, do you want to hear from our sister departments? And then say, okay, so what do you want to hear from the finance team? What do you want to hear from the marketing team? Or what questions do you have, to be even more specific? Because that works. I think I use what do you want to hear from in some places, and what questions do you have in other places. So what questions do you have for the marketing team? What questions do you have for product delivery? Because then you can take those very questions and go to the marketing team and say, hey, do you want a slot in the quarterly sales meeting where you can answer these questions? And then the various teams are going to go, well, why are they asking this? And we've answered that before. And I'm just like, yeah, but they're asking it again. So however it was answered before, either they don't remember or they don't understand it. So they're saying that they don't remember or don't understand it. So even though you might have told them before, it's still an issue that somebody has taken the time to actively say, and say written, not verbal. And then once you say that like that, then they go, okay, yeah, fine, I'll come and I'll do 20 minutes on it. Fantastic. Collaboration, other people talking about things, and it's not just you having to manage everything. Ta-da! It gets people talking to each other. And it, sometimes you are in the middle and you've got one person shouting at this person and you're in the middle just listening to all the shouting. But it's for you to then explain they need your help. And if, when you come to the session, you can directly ask them, okay, so we have gone through this before. So please write in the chat, was this clearer than last time? How do you want us to communicate with you? It's always, always, always about progressing. No stagnation here. Asking for feedback from the salesperson, from the salespeople, isn't so that you can just collect it and do nothing with it. It feeds into something else. And that's where you get the benefit from it. So please do ask for feedback. Ideally, only give access to the feedback to the people who need it, like you and the head of sales, because people do get very antsy about who's going to see that stuff. And you might have to make it very clear in your emails that only you have access and how long it's open for and exactly what you're going to be doing with that information. Being very clear like that just helps to foster trust. So that it's, you don't get any additional feedback afterwards to say, well, you didn't tell me he was going to see the information, so I didn't fill it in. So clear. You need to be so clear. And every single time you communicate with someone, asking them to fill in a survey. How long is it going to be open for? What are the questions in it? Why are you asking those questions? Where is the information going to go? Who's going to see the information? Like, ultimately, you need to tell them why it's in their best interest to fill in that survey. Do let me know if you use surveys, and what do you use and how regularly you use them. Because again, they're not the same as the company engagement survey, but it's kind of a mini company engagement survey from sales ops to the sales team. So I hope you found that very, very, very useful. And I'd like to let you know, if you don't know already, if you're not already on the email list, there is a webinar on the 14th of March talking about preparing for sales meetings. And we are coming into Q2 very, 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 very fast. It's going to be here very soon. So that webinar is on the 14th of March, where we discuss how we prepare for the quarterly sales meetings and the kind of things that you need to look out for. And I hope you'll really enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to it, because it's things that I had to learn by falling down a lot, because you end up in certain cases doing more than you need to do. And you never want to do less, but doing more really just creates laziness in other departments. So I'm looking forward to talking to you about that, and you'll find the link in the show notes. Speak to you soon.